So we have here another project, a Mercedes S430, 2003. Now this was an older car that I once owned at one point in time. And I sold this car and it had aromatic issues. It got replaced. Now it has another issue. The issue being, well, it's sitting too low. That's obvious because the car's been sitting for a long time. Nice wheels, by the way. She did change the wheels with a newer S550. But it's been sitting for a long time, and so the aromatic suspension has let go. It's depressurized and lowered. It released that pressure. And I think all these Mercedes, they sit long enough, they should lower to some extent. But this also is an issue because there is a communication issue with the engine control module. So the battery was disconnected. So any type of residual pressure that it would hold so it doesn't go this low, it has lost that ability. Also because there's another issue that I have to resolve. I have to figure out why this fuse 78 keeps blowing. That's connected to the engine control module, steering wheel, windshield wipers, the auxiliary little alarm. I believe that has an independent little battery, a little lithium ion battery that once that goes, that can cause that fuse to continue to short. And so when that fuse blows, you are not able to start the car. So that's the current situation right now. The car will not start. And again, because the battery is disconnected, the little bit of air pressure that would stay in the aromatic system, the pump has not kept it at that level. So it has totally deflated and totally lowered all the way to this extent. Like, once again, normally these cars do settle, but not this low. So that is an issue that has to be resolved. And so that's why I'm here today, to figure out what's going on. I'm going to remove that front wheel and get access to that alarm. I'm gonna disconnect that and see if that allows fuse 78 to not blow. Fuse 78 is located right here. This is hard to remove sometimes. You gotta put something flat and pry it loose, like right about this area. Try not to break these tabs. All right, just kind of work it loose. This was already removed yesterday, so that's why it's easy for me to take it off. Fuse 78 is the one right there, 7.5, the one on the very bottom. You see it? That fuse keeps blowing. So I have to figure out what's causing that issue, and hopefully I can get this thing back up and running. You see it's been sitting for a long time, right? You see that? Yeah, it's been sitting for a long time. Sitting for a long time. Even the air in the rear tires is low. It's been sitting here all winter long, probably for over a year it's been sitting, so let's see if I can get this thing started again, man. For the record, I personally hate these bolts. These are Mercedes bolts that come where you usually require an adapter in order to remove them. It prevents theft, I guess. Like somebody wants the factory wheels. I guess people do want factory AMG wheels. But a standard Mercedes wheel is not worth that much money. I don't know. But I hate the fact that they use these, because sometimes the adapter works. Sometimes other mechanics who might get a hold of this car and take the wheels off, they'll put a standard 17 on there. And what that does is sometimes it'll grab it, sometimes it won't. Sometimes it damages that, and it makes it hard to apply the proper adapter to it. Sometimes you have to jam a 17 millimeter socket onto it, like I did here. I had to hammer it on. So that stuff is frustrating, man. I don't know. Locking, lug bolts, all of those little, differences makes a difference and irritates me sometimes. I don't know. I get frustrated. Anyways, I'm about to remove this wheel so I can access to the alarm, and I believe it's right here, but I'll double check. I don't think it's in the front, but once I remove this right here, I'll figure it out. Oops, I forgot to record. So what I did is I removed this liner. I removed the bolts for this liner just in case I had to remove this one, which I did not have to do. So it is located right here. As soon as you pull this wheel liner out, the plastic, then you have some padding right here, like plastic and foam padding right here, and then right next to it you see a bracket, and you can see the plug itself is visible. The wire is visible, the plug is visible. I just, instead of unplugging it, I just removed the whole component, and it's right here. So when you open it up, this is what you're going to see. how was it? It was like this. It sat just like this in there. All right, so I removed, obviously water is getting in there, of course, just natural water just flying up there. And you have the component right here. This little booger right here. I'm hoping that this is the issue. Just 3 little nuts right here, 8mm nuts to remove it. Pull it out, unplug it, of course, and let's see what happens. So guess what, guys? The car started. It is now operational, and that was the issue. It was that daggone thing right here. So if your 78 amp fuse keeps blowing, I mean number 78 fuse keeps blowing, it's a 7.5 amp fuse. If it keeps blowing, this is what it is. That's what it is. As soon as I would put that fuse in there, it will blow. As soon as I put it in there, it will blow. If the battery's connected, it will blow immediately. Again, now this car has been sitting for a long time. Because of this issue, the battery had died on it. He had to buy a new battery for it. This was a girl who I sold the car to. She had her cousin involved in trying to fix it, trying to figure out what it was. I give him his props because he realized that fuse kept blowing. So then I come back into the picture and he tells me that. He explains it to me that the 78 fuse keeps blowing. And I did some research, read some forums. Nobody gave, well, I did find one forum that said that this might be the issue. And it pointed me in the right direction. I checked every other fuse that's related to that fuse and removed those to isolate the issue, isolate the component to see if that was a contributing factor. It was not. It wound up being that. I'm so happy that that was the issue, and the car does not need that. When I say that, it's not absolutely necessary, because that technology is cool, but obviously it can cause some serious issues if that battery dies. Now, it's an internal battery. It's separate from the vehicle's battery. And I guess what it does is it charges. It's a lithium ion. I don't know if it's a rechargeable battery. I don't know if it's supposed to charge while the vehicle is charging, or if it's just an isolated battery that over time dies. I mean, this is a 2003, so that battery is 20 years old. It lasted quite a while before it caused this issue. I don't know if it's a rechargeable battery or it just holds the charge for 20 years, which I doubt. Anyways, the purpose of that is that if you ever unplug the car battery trying to steal the vehicle, then that one will still activate because it has a separate battery source, a separate voltage supply. And so that being the case, it will alert the owner that the car is being taken away, being stolen. So it does serve a purpose. How often is a Mercedes stolen? In 2003, S-Class stolen in 2023? Not that often. So I'm pretty certain that this is not a cause of concern for this owner. I'm sure she is not concerned about this alarm system. She wants her car running. And so that's what we have here. The car is running. Now, for the most part, the car did lift up, but I see here in the rear on the driver's side that it did not raise up. That's a problem. What I'll do is I'll hit the button to raise it and see if that helps. It did raise initially in the back, but now it has sunken low. Now, I do know that the rear struts, I believe, I think are original. I know the front has been swapped out, but that's a cause of concern for her to be able to drive this car. Again, this car has been sitting for quite a long time. It's been sitting for almost 2 years, as you can tell. The struts for the hood, they're out. Simple replacement though. About 50 bucks or so, I can swap those out. You have a lot of oil seepage. See all that oil right there? That's coming from the oil filter itself. That seal, that rubber O-ring right there, that's done. And you have some dirt, some oil right there too. That's from the valve cover gas. It's likely from this too. And also from the valve cover gas, you see it right there. So if I pop this off, I'm sure I'll see a lot of residual oil just kind of sitting around. And at some point, it'll start burning off. You'll smell it. You'll see some smoke maybe. You'll definitely smell it burning off. Man, I tried to buy this car from her a few times, but she won't sell it back to me. But you know, this is unfortunately the consequences of a Mercedes being neglected and sitting for too long. Things like this happen. You have to really stay on top of these Mercedes. You can't just drive them like a Honda and just change the oil. You got to really stay on top of these things. But there you go. That's the solution to that issue. Now, let me sort through this car and see what else is wrong with it. All right, so apparently, the car's battery was too low, because now everything's starting to function. The dashboard, the instrument cluster wouldn't light up. You give it some gas, then you get the ABS light, but then the instrument cluster would go even more dim. It had a little bit of light, then it would just go dim when I gave it gas. So it wouldn't shift out of park. It said battery too low. So all the indicators that the battery itself just didn't have enough charge to it for the system to operate properly. So it just kicked in. It's starting to rise now. Instrument cluster just lit up on me. The fan just kicked on. So actually things are starting to work again. From this car sitting for 2 years, nothing was working. Now things are starting to work again. Things are starting to work again. All right, so I'm starting to get some information here. All right. I did activate the aromatic system, trying to raise it. This crap is broken up. Just pull this out. Golly, man, what the heck, man? Golly, man. This thing is in rough shape, bro. It's just been neglected, man. Just what it is. And honestly, between you and me, I sold this car to somebody that can't take care of it. You know what I'm saying? So this is the things that happen, you know? Everything was working when I sold it. It's crazy. What the heck? Bang! Now these are known to stick. The sun visors, they are known to, you know, on these cars to become very difficult and not move. And these right here breaks all the time. The glass itself breaks sometimes. This right here breaks off. Not the best design, I guess, but these are known to break. So these sell for good money on eBay when you find ones, especially the driver's side, because it's used the most. They typically sell these on eBay for a premium price because they go bad all the time. This one already has the stiffness to it where it doesn't really want to come down easily and go back up all the way flush. You know, you want it like that. But typically when they start going, they no longer flex as easy as they should. Still raising. Let me see. Let me check the outside. Struggling to go up. Struggling to go up. It did start to rise though. Compressor probably timed out. Hopefully the struts are not bad in the rear. See, the front rolls up. These rear struggling. The rear is struggling. All right, see, so it's doing it again. I just got the battery charge light. I'm saying that the battery charging is an issue. Once it got charged enough, I guess, the air conditioning kicked on, or the heat kicked on. And see, there it goes again, lit back up again. So when the AC kicked on, or the air climate control kicked on, it caused it to go back into that low battery mode. See, now it's trying to raise again. So there you go. Instrument cluster blinking. Okay, so it just kicked up. The rear just kicked up. This thing is struggling. It's struggling to charge. Struggling to charge. As soon as it gets enough charge. See, now look at that. Instrument cluster just dropped for the fuel. That's not working now. So it's struggling. So there's a voltage issue here. It might be the alternator. It might be the alternator. As soon as the car gets enough voltage that it wants to try to raise that back in, the compressor kicks in. But as of right now, typically, like I guess like the auxiliary, components are not, electronics are not kicking on. So it's basically just like the essential things. Now the transmission probably won't shift. See, transmission won't shift, but when the voltage was up, the transmission would shift. So there's a voltage issue. That battery was enough to start it, but I think we have an alternator issue. Yeah, I think we have an alternator issue. All right, so I decided to put a voltmeter onto this battery. Now this battery is being overcharged. Look at it. It's reading 17.96. Now that's crazy. So it's being overcharged. That tells me that likely the voltage regulator on the alternator is bad. I'm gonna turn the car off and see what this battery does. How much voltage is on the battery itself. I think we have a voltage regulator issue. So we have a good battery. We definitely have a good battery here. It will likely hover around 13, maybe 12 and a half. I don't know, but you know, the sitting voltage is good on that battery. I think we have a alternator issue. So everything is doing what it's supposed to do. Now let's go look at this voltage here. See, that gas gauge just went back up like it's supposed to. Now those are the numbers I'm supposed to see right there. There you go. See the bridge is trying to kick on. It's trying to raise. See that voltage is correct. It's struggling a little bit. So the alternator should be kicking in. See, when the alternator is not giving it the juice that it needs, see, it's feeding too much off of that battery right now. The alternator is supposed to keep this between 13 and 14. Like these numbers right here, these are accurate. See, I think we have a voltage issue, a voltage regulator issue on that alternator. So that rear is raising. The pump is on, I hear it. That voltage is supposed to stay right around there. You hear the pump. The compressor. Oh snap, what is this? Do I see coolant? Oh, we got a coolant leak, baby. Oh man. Yeah. Now if I would have left this thing running, if I just would have left, see, it's raised up, it would overheat. You know what? She knew about this coolant issue. That's why there's coolant right here in the back seat. Yep. Where's it leaking from? See that temperature right there? See it acting up? Battery charge. See that? There it go again. It just jumped back up again, see? That's why that says that. Battery charge, visit workshop. So there's an issue with the alternator, and we also have a coolant issue. Look at here, look at here. Right there. All right. So it either needs a radiator or it needs a new hose. Either way, I'm gonna need some attention. Anyway. This poor car is just so freaking neglected. God. This is what happens. I'm not even gonna say what I really feel. God, man. Look at the voltage. You see that? Voltage regulator. Is your Mercedes doing this? Is your Mercedes doing this? An overcharged battery? That is the voltage regulator on your alternator. It's bad. This car doesn't know what to do because the voltage is fluctuating. Voltage regulator. Change your alternator. It's not your battery. It's your alternator. All right, guys, so there's a lot of work that needs to be done to this car. I'm going to pass this information on to the owner. You need that radiator hose or radiator replaced. Hopefully it's just a seal for the hose. You need a new alternator and some air in these tires. All right, some work needs to be done. Some work needs to be done. Be careful who you sell your car to. Be careful who you sell your car to. A car that you care and love might be put in the wrong hands, and this is what happens. Till next time, go to Element Autoworks. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Talk to you soon. Bye.